Good evening, everyone. Welcome. I'd like to thank Mr. Poe for allowing us into his home this evening. And I'd like to thank everyone who came out on this very, very stormy evening. We're here to communicate with those who have passed on. Each of us brings to the table our own gifts, and together we'll have the strength to reach out to the beyond. I have been performing seances for several years. I discovered my gift at another such event. Ever since then, through my spirit guides, the departed seek me out and give me messages. Sometimes these messages are of unfinished business, some hope, some revenge, and some just reassuring their loved ones that they are, in fact, all right. Now, what I would like to do is to have all of you tell us why you're here, and then we will begin. Starting with you, please, Mr. Poe.
To make a seance in mine own abode. I grant this behest, I know not why. They say perhaps because this house be haunted. I know not of this, but I do know one need not be a house to be haunted. There are far more terrifying things lurking through the corridor of the mind. And yet, I hold it to be universal truth that ghosts do not exist. I would call you a fraud, but fraud is not strong enough a word. Charlatan, perhaps. And yet I must admit that this grisly charade fills me, nay, thrills me, with fantastic terrors never felt before. And oh, how does hope spring eternal? And how I wish to see my Annabel Lee. And so perhaps science has not yet penned all the answers. Perhaps because the stylus and ink has not yet been invented to write such answers. And so, Britta, before we continue, I would like to read some words I have written. A behest, a summons that gently whispers across the night's Plutonian shore, and call for the one whom I'm such longing to see, to speak. It was many and many a year ago, in a kingdom by the sea, that a maiden there lived, whom you may know by the name of Annabel Lee. And this maiden, she lived with no other thought than to love, and be loved by me. I was a child, and she was a child in this kingdom by the sea, but we loved with a love that was more than love, I and my Annabel Lee, with a love that the winged seraphs of heaven coveted her and me. And this was the reason that long ago, in this kingdom by the sea, the wind blew out of a cloud, chilling my beautiful Annabel Lee, so that her high-born kinsman came and bore her away from me, to shut her up in a sepulchre in this kingdom by the sea. The angels, not half so happy in heaven, went amazing her and me. Yes, that was the reason, for all men know in this kingdom by the sea, that the wind came out of the cloud that night, chilling and killing my Annabel Lee. But our love, it was stronger by far than love of those who were older than we, of many far wiser than we, and neither the angels in heaven above, nor the demons down under the sea, can ever dissuade the soul from the soul of my beautiful Annabel Lee. For the moon never beams without bringing me dreams of my beautiful Annabel Lee, and the stars never rise, but I feel the bright eyes of the beautiful Annabel Lee, of my darling, my life, and my bride, in her sepulchre there by the sea, in her tomb by the sounding sea. So if it delights you to continue, then continue. And let that hope spring eternal.
I've gathered with all of you here today to pay respects to my late husband, Magnus. You see, Magnus was obsessed with proving
life beyond the grave. So obsessed that his dying wish is part of why I'm here today, participating in this farce with all of you. Some years ago, Magnus began traveling all over the world. London, Paris, Rome, New York City. I accompanied him on all of these travels. Extravagant trips, wonderful sights, and of course, gatherings, seances like this one. Magnus, forever trying to search for that perfect connection. He didn't see it in me for some reason, just looking for it beyond the grave. But he was never able to find it. And so, last year, sometime, I came up with a wonderful plan. I sat Magnus down at our evening dinner, and I told him of it. This plan consisted of us proving once and for all that those in the spirit realm went on after death, that they were truly real, and that they could truly talk to the living. And so I told him, wouldn't it be curious if a man could speak from beyond the grave to a chosen partner of some kind, one who would be his medium for the living? Myself. Well, Magnus thought this was a genius idea. He wanted to be that man. He wanted to be the man who would prove the existence of spirits once and for all. Well, we made a plan. That Magnus would die, and I would be his vessel for the living. So, before midnight, on that fateful June night, I tipped a little bit of arsenic, a fatal dose, into his tea. Of course, it's not the most painless way to die, but he wanted it. And so now, I wait for voices that will never come and for me to fulfill my end of this bargain, so I may claim our estate and move on with my life, traveling again to London, Paris, Rome, and New York. Poor Magnus. But again, maybe not.
That was lovely. I'm sorry, when are we going to actually get started with everything? I'm sorry, I don't mean to be rude, I'm terribly excited. I have wanted to participate in a seance ever since my friend Elizabeth was part of mine last summer, something like that. I think it was actually you. Yeah, do you remember her? Big nose. She seems to know everything about everything. At least she sure talks like she does. Anyway, apparently she was able to hear from her great uncle Friedrich. I think that's who it was. I'm not sure. It wasn't really anyone of consequence. Although the way that she went on about it all season, you would think that it had been Elizabeth I. Anyway, she wouldn't stop going on about it. And then my friend Victoria did one last winter, I believe. And she got to speak with her grandmother, apparently. And then she wouldn't stop going on about it either. And now it has become just so fashionable. It is all the rage to be able to participate in a seance. So lay it on me, really. Whatever tricks you've got up your sleeve, I promise that I will pretend that it's real for the night. I mean, not that it's actually real. Everyone knows you can't actually talk to the dead. But whatever tricks you happen to have, just make it as real and as exciting as possible. I want to be able to talk about this all year. Oh, that was a good touch. The candle's flickering. There must be a draft in here or something. Did you open a window when no one was looking? Oh, there they go again. That's quite the trick. I mean, it's not like it's real, of course. It's not as though we can actually speak to the dead. Not that it would be unpleasant, most likely. You see, my sister, my younger sister, she passed when we were rather young. Fever took quite a few children that winter, actually. It'd be nice to speak to her again. Not that that's possible, obviously. Did you see that? I didn't do that. Did you do that? There goes that one too. Liza? Is that you? Okay, what are you supposed to do? You're supposed to ask for a sign, right? Okay. Eliza, if you're there, give us a sign. Wow. Oh, what? That's quite the trick that you've got there. Obviously, it couldn't be real. Obviously. Wow, that's going to be quite the story to tell the girls, isn't it? Yeah.
Now I have saved the best for last. I would like for you to make welcome Miss Scarlet. She is a new medium, but showing a great deal of promise. I dare say she may even be more in tune than I. So, I think as we begin, we will turn the table, as it were, to Miss Scarlet. I want you all to remember that you need to remain calm and quiet and keep an open mind and heart. I would also like to say to the spirit realm that we wish only good visitors here tonight. Only those spirits who have the most positive of intentions, those who walk in the light. We welcome no darkness here. Now, Miss Scarlet, do begin.
I've been waiting for this moment for far too long. And my mama always said that being in touch with the spirits was in our blood. And her mama said it. And her mama's mama said it. Her grandpappy said it. After years and years of hearing it, from everyone in my family, it was only natural that this would be I must say, you couldn't have picked a more perfect night for this now. Look at it. Got the rain pouring on the roof. It's like cats and dogs outside. You even hear the wind howling just you really rolled out the welcome mat now for dear old Uncle Fred. I thought for this special occasion, I will bring the most precious stones and will pass down to me for generations to come. So just to let you know what I got for all this. Here we have beautiful pink quartz. And actually here is a little pink quartz. It's supposed to give you the feeling of positivity. Help with your anxiety. Help you feel calm. Which, as you know, is what we all need to be. We want to summon and be able to speak with Uncle Fred. So I'm going to really warm these up now for us. There you go. Now, a beautiful turquoise. precious possession that I own that my mama gave me. This beautiful ruby amulet. She herself said inhabits all of the energy from everyone who's passed on from my family. So you know this is the key. They'll make sure that Fred finds his way to us. Yeah. This really does hold most divine energy that I've ever felt. I just know that if we really put our minds to it, we can really see Fred. It's a hot summer day. Cool glass. Something. My sister. My dear sister. Show his love. This time of year. Let's. Did you hear that? Did you hear that?
Oh, Spirit, come closer. Give us a sign of your presence.
What charlatry is this? Fraud.
I beg your pardon.
He's here. I can feel it. Can't you? Can't.
Did you hear it? It sounded like